Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to this exercise-like tutorial video where we're going to run through how to bring a design from Figma, a website design from Figma to Framer with one single click using their amazing plugin, and then from there work on the responsive layout to make it both desktop, iPad and mobile responsive in roughly about 2 hours. And with this video we're providing you source files that you can use to take part in the exercise, which will be in the description below. There's the Figma file, and then from there you can create your own Framer file. It's a great tutorial video if you follow with me as I try to solve the different complexities of the responsive layout using different content rules such as fill, fit, distribution and other layout rules. It's a perfect way to get started in Framer and get your muscle within the responsive layout features. I think what designers struggle the most with, whether they're working on other platforms like Webflow or WordPress, is getting the website responsiveness. I think that's the biggest challenge of web design, making sure the experience is seamless from any screen size, and that's the muscle you will grow within this exercise. So without further ado, let's jump in.
Alright guys, so we're inside of Figma as you can see right now. This is a very simple landing page that we just designed, knocked up for this event coming really soon. So we have to get this up and running really fast, and of course Framer does this beautifully, taking designs from Figma to a Framer to publish an entire website. And we're going to show you how this works. We always start our designs in a 1440 width, and we kind of make the other sizes from there, but in this case I'm going to have to design it from scratch. So first things first, select a design, go to Figma components and plugins and widgets library. We'll go to plugins, we'll type in Framer where it comes up right here because I recently used it, and we'll run the Framer plugin. If you don't have it, just simply go to the community section or go from here and actually install the plugin before you run it. Now what this simply does is once you whatever you select on your canvas on Figma and you run while running the Framer plugin will end up being copied so that it can be pastable, if that's even a word, on Framer's actual canvas. So you can see now this is copying the layers. On the bottom you got this little notification here that it says paste in Framer. So I'm going to go into Framer and I'm going to go ahead and simply hit Command V to paste. All right, so let's see if this works. You can see it's uploading the images from Figma, taking all of the different components and layouts, and wow, phenomenal, right? This looks excellent. I mean, to skip all of that legwork to actually design each section from scratch is a pain, whether you're doing on Webflow or any other platform for that matter. And we've skipped all of that by just simply pasting this landing page right inside Framer. After this, there's a little bit of work that we need to do because we have to start to make this website responsive. When you open a new Framer page, which is on here, so here's the web pages. This is a new page. You can create as many pages as you like from here. So we created this page earlier, and you can see the desktop size is always automatically added by default. The default size is 1220, so I want to make this actually a 1440 size, which you can select in the presets over here, which is already available for us. I think I created this preset a bit back. And I'm going to take this landing page and simply drag it into this frame over here. And it gets snapped into position because the actual frame itself has what we call a layout added. It's kind of similar to Figma's auto layout system, right? So a lot of similarities in Figma, in Framer. You'll have to dig into the individual tutorial videos to fully grasp them. You'll get a lot of this stuff on this video and how it works, but we'll find some rules that are familiar territory from Figma, like fill, fit content, those kind of things for your sort of width of your frames and your height of your frames. So you can see this fixed, fit, etc. However, the rules on Framer might be slightly different. So do keep that in mind. Don't expect everything to function, even if the semantics or the terms are the same on Framer, like fill, fit, distribute, layout, auto layout, all that kind of stuff. The rules will be slightly different on Framer. So it does require to explore. And I'm a big believer of just jumping into the app and exploring all these features as you're building your site, right? Just seeing what these things do in terms of a rule. So here's my 1440 site. What I like to do before anything is to instantly create the different breakpoints that I'm going to be using. So I want to get my tablet size, which is the smaller one, up next, and then I'll do a phone size. I might do a smaller desktop later on in the process, but I don't need to do one now. Now instantly you can see these layers are connected to the main primary one, which is this desktop over here. So if I move this, notice how everything moves on the other screens as well. So it is very much linked, and that's really, really cool, right? So if I even move this text or squeeze it, it'll squeeze on the other pages. That's where it gets really, really helpful to kind of fast tracking the process of creating the fully responsive website, right? For all the screen sizes necessary. Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty. First things first, I want to make sure that my whole viewport shows the entire website itself. Right now it's only showing a part of it. So if I go and click play, you'll notice that the website will be only a certain height. So let's go and click play. You can see it doesn't scroll beyond this, as you see here, and that's a problem, of course. And the reason being is because this frame is not fitting the entire website itself. So we simply click the frame itself, go to height, and we'll click fit content. Select fit content. That instantly selects the entire layer that we added into this from Figma. So if you go to the layers panel and I'll select desktop, this is what was pasted from Figma. The frame in Figma essentially is this, and it's pasted inside here, right? And it's okay to keep this within the frame. You don't have to break the frame itself. So I actually have a component for the button that I can use from before. So I'll go to my assets. I actually created this in the past. So buttons are very simple. Whatever you do on Figma, your kind of component variants, you can do the same here. Here's an example. So here are all my different variants, but just to show you how this works, you simply click one of your variants, and this is how you add a variant. It automatically duplicates it. You can then go ahead and customize the fill color, the border color, anything you like essentially. And then, you can go and create the different states. So you can automatically click this button, which will allow you to choose whether you want to hover or press state. What does that look like during hover? You could change that into one of the colors that these are all the color styles that I've added. I actually added them step by step by using the plus option previously and giving it a title, matching it to my Figma design system, which is pretty much copied, manually copied. So this is a manual process. You can't automatically copy styles from Figma yet. So this was kind of a bit of a manual process, copying each of these styles into Figma, giving it titles, etc. But since this has been done, this is just showing you how it would work. This is the process really. If you hover, and you can do a click state, and then once you do this button, you'll notice that it fully interacts as you would expect. So this is how variants essentially work. Going back to this, since like I said, I have the components ready, I'm going to go and drag this button in. This is from my components library that I already created, and on the right hand side, we got the variant options over here. So let's go ahead and choose what I want is a light filled button. There we go. That matches the style completely. And let me go back. If I double click it, it takes me back to the component. So here's the button text actually. So you don't double click it to change the text. I have to do it on the variant itself since it's a component. So we type it on the field. We're going to type book your seats. Boom. And we don't want the icon on the left. So we got that done over here. Now this might look technical for you guys, because if this is the first time in Figma, you don't know how to set up your buttons in this way. Like I said, it requires a whole other training video. But in a nutshell, this is all done within the components itself. So we actually take these buttons and add what we call variants within each of these layers. We make the text a dynamic layer so that they can be editable when you use the components. And the same for the icons and all of the other different variables. Like the icon over here, you can see the different variables that we've added here, and we added it into what we call the left icon. So here are the button variables, for example. And so these are all customizable. You can actually fully customize the button using the button variables that we set up over here, right? So, all right, so that's to get into the technical details, and you can check that hopefully in a soon to come video. Great, so that's done. Book your seat. This frame over here, I want it to be fill, right? And I want this to be fit content. And with the gap, we can use, I think in the Figma design, go back to remind myself what kind of spacing we're using. I think it's about 90. Okay, it's auto apparently, which I think is not the best approach. I think we should go for like 96. Space would be perfect. So I like to use figures divisible by 4. It's a great practice, so I found. You can, of course, there's no rule for it entirely, but this is way too tight, so I'm going to do 96. Ooh, boom, nothing actually happened here. Why is this not? Oh, there we go. That's the 96. Bang, there we go. So that's the spacing done. And notice how the spacing is pretty much covered for the entire site and affects all the other sizes as well. So that's done. This I'm not entirely happy with. I want it to be a fill state, but it's not inside. Okay, so here's the main component. This can be in fill. Okay, so I was looking for the frame. Whenever you're clicking something in Figma, it'll usually, as you look at the layer panel, it might skip the frame that it's actually inside, and that's a problem. So make sure that you're actually clicking what you want to click, the main frame itself that's containing the actual thing, so that you can set the right rule. Because I want this to be a fill, and what that does is simply is as I expand it, it will stretch, as you see over here. So because before it was a fix, I believe, so it would be it was like this, which means that it just stays in the middle, right? And I don't want that. So I go to the main layer, use the layers panel, and use fill. And over here, we'll use fill 2. That's the main layer that I've targeted. Fill over here. I don't think I want this to go bigger than a certain size. So I'm going to set a maximum for all of these as well. So despite it being fill, I will make a maximum width of what I found to work well for me is 13333. And the same for this one over here. And let's name our layers, just so that, it's just easy to navigate for not just yourself, but future teammates. So I'm going to call this the top fold banner. Oh, let's just call it top fold, right? Fill, we've got a fit rule. Great. So that means this is fitting this section over here. What else do I need to do? So let's open this up. Oh yeah, max width over here. Use fixed. We don't want percentage. Relative will kind of just use the current version and kind of calculate it based on relativity of how much the screen changes from size to size. And I like to use specific pixels rather than the relative rule. So over here we got, should be fill as well, right? And that's fine. In fact, I think we don't need this. So let me see what happens if I ungroup this part over here, remove stack. Okay, that's what happened. So this is what's keeping this on either side. It's using the stack. So stack is kind of like auto layout in Figma. So it's using a stack auto layout, which means that it's either left to right or top down, top to bottom, right? So vertical or horizontal. We're going to keep this horizontal. I think for iPad, of course, it's not going to work horizontal. So we can go with vertical, and look how amazing that looks, right? It's just amazing how much of the process you can actually skip. Now I'm curious, if I delete this, I might not need the mobile phone right now, because if I make the phone later, I think it will apply what I've applied on the iPad size, and I think that's actually a better approach. So let me finalize the iPad or the tablet size, and then we'll come to the phone later. So these are the only two sizes I'm working on. Okay, I want to give authentic buttons here as well, so let's use assets. And you know what? I'll just copy the button from here instead of trying to find it in my assets library. Oop, I copied it in there. Great. Let's put that, book your seat. Let's choose from my button variables. Primary filled, I think, is going to be black. Great. And this one will delete. And then we've got a watch teaser. So let's go to ghost. I think it's primary ghost, but this is black, so it should be light outline maybe. Yep, that's the one. And we'll go to icon, right icon, left icon. So we want a right icon, which is done. And we want a specific icon like a play, I think, right? So let's choose this play. There we go. Not exactly the same icon that we use, but it's fine. I think this will work nicely. I will come back and see if I can change it to the exact one that I want, but we have to change the text now. Watch teaser. There we go. Perfect. All right, so here's a little frame with all this kind of artsy stuff, this little container that contains the main piece over here. I want the overflow to not be hidden because this is being chopped off, so let's go ahead and make it visible. Okay, there's some extra graphic on the side here. I think this was a mistake by the design team. I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to call this speaker, which is me, speaker image. So we're really looking forward to this event. Little plug over here, if you want to attend it and you're watching this video before this event, I do encourage you guys to check out our event led by UX and hopefully see you there. Cool. So here's a tag So again, this was pasted from Figma. It's not a component. So I'm going to use the actual component. Perfect. And I'm going to type the label live event. And let's use the 300 green, which is that. And I can go ahead and delete this. Do I want to tweak this a little bit? I feel like this is kind of a bit edgy. It's moving outside of the container. Let's try and see what we can do, because even here, it's kind of edging outside of the container. Let's see what's going on here. It's this vector over here. Let me lock it first so you can't select it. So this is actually the container, and then that little kind of squiggle is just a kind of more free floating element that goes beyond the actual container border itself, right? And I think that's okay. Maybe it could just be a bit higher. So let's lift it a bit. There we go. Of course, there's a bit of an issue here. Like, we got to add some Z value because this is going on top of the button. So from here, what we can do is go to our Z index. In the style section, you click the plus button, choose Z index, and it will go and add this. So just by adding +1, notice how it comes on top, right? So you're kind of forcing the layers to go on top of each other without having to reorganize the layers, right? Because we don't want to do that. Okay, even here, for some reason, this bit has, oh yeah, let me, I think I undid a few times. Yeah, now we got this consistently in lock. This is the frame. Fit content, fill. So the rule we're using over here is what exactly? How are we making sure there's that gap? I want to know. So there's 72 top, 72 bottom, seems like. And over here, what do we have? 72 top, 72 bottom. And on the left and right, we have 42. Yeah, I guess that's fine. I think we could use a bit more space. First of all, let's make this into a fill rule. And let's do a fit content over here. Oops, that's not going to work because the items are loose in there. We don't want to auto layout because it just kind of breaks everything. But what we want to do is make sure that there's a bit of gap here. So if I increase this, yeah, that will do the trick. So let's say 1636, maybe around that much should be fine. All right, let's see what our iPad padding looks like right now. It's got 96 gap, no padding. How is that possible if there's no padding? Okay, the padding is inside this layer over here. And we got a right 53 and left 53. I think that's too much for iPad. I wouldn't make it more than 32 on either side. That's better. You want to tighten up the padding as you go to smaller screen sizes so it looks a bit better. I could center this up. So the way we do that is for the text layer, of course, we use the align center. Some of these elements over here inside this frame, let's call this title frame, right? And what's this one? This is the stack, right? Let's call it a stack. So here, in this frame, we're gonna go for a center alignment. So by using this align tool over here, it centers everything up. And then for this bit here, we can go to distribute because it's in a frame and these two buttons are inside a frame. So let's call it buttons or CTAs, let's call it. We can't use this because it's using a horizontal frame, horizontal auto layout. So we got to use the distribute rule and center it up, right? Some of this stuff you might not get why you have to use that. As long as you're aware how to center stuff, you can either use the align tool or use the distribute tool. Naturally, you get to understand just by practice why you use those things. It kind of becomes more intuitive than anything. So that doesn't look too bad. I'm happy with that. This text, of course, needs to be aligned to center. So it does look pretty cool when you center up on this particular size, right? Right, so let's keep going. So, all right, so this is my workflow. I tackle each section at a time and move on to the next section. Right, the next section we have is this webinar partners section. Okay, we don't need them to be in components. We just need to stylize this text, which we can do in a second. So I'm going to be using, according to over here, webinar partners is heading regular 5 is 20 medium font size. So I know it's one of these titles for sure with the 20 size title. So yeah, it's a title small, it turns out. And I'm going to go into the colors and actually give it the proper color. from the style. There we go. And these are fine. We're going to use a fit content to kind of squeeze everything in, and we'll use a fill to make sure it stretches max, and we'll call this frame, give it a title like webinar partners, right? Then we have the educators frame over here, which is this part here. I think this was an old layer copied from before, so I'm going to rename it to partners, and we're going to do a fill. It's got the auto layout and it's got space in between. So space between or space evenly is even okay, I think. I think to spread them apart so far doesn't look good in the original design. I personally prefer just space evenly would be better. And then you could do even, what happens if you do a fit content? Oh, that squeezes it way too much. So just doing that would be cool. And I think we need to have some kind of minimum padding, right? Because if you keep making the screen smaller, this is what happens over here, as you see. So in this case, what do? We got to make sure that, well, this is infill. All right, so I know what to do. So what we could do is remove the gap. No, not the gap, but the right padding and the left padding, the margins. And then what happens over here is you have less margins. Still not ideal. Are the heights of these logos the same? Yes, it seems to be the case. It's all 51 except this Glorify logo. So I think we could change that. Let's go ahead and try that. So what's going on over here? So let's make this 51. Ooh, lock them and 51. Just want to make sure that the heights are consistent, just to drive that consistency throughout. So that's looking a bit better now. Maybe in this case, space between, yeah, that works better. In this case, it does, yeah. So I'll use, so the key ingredient here to remember, anything that you do custom, as you saw what we did over here, anything that you do in the sub pages, meaning remember your desktop is your primary. So anything you do in primary will affect the actual sub pages, as you see over here. Anything that you do in the other secondary pages or the secondary breakpoints, like your tablet size, your mobile size, all those properties will be unique to those breakpoints, those sizes, and they won't affect the main primary page, right? So as you saw here, as I edited these things, it doesn't change anything on my primary page, but if I do change this, it does change everything on the child pages or the breakpoint pages. All right, so we're almost done here. Perfect. Okay, I'm happy with that. So let's go into the next section, which is this really interesting one, which is what is the UI UX led event all about? This section is more information heavy. You got this grid going on here, and we've got our Meta speakers section, who it is for, why attend. So let's tackle this one at a time. And what I'm going to do now is make sure this exclusive bit here is supposed to be in purple. So let's make that happen. Boom. Same for these styles over here. So text, color. Okay, well, these are tags. So I have a component for tags. So I'm going to bring that from over here, this little component piece here, copy, paste, use my arrow keys on my keyboard to move them up and down, move it up here, and we'll type this. Oop, that takes me back to the core component. We can type it over here in the component variables. So we'll type who is it for, and I'm going to choose primary. Great. Delete that old one. So we got a component version over here, which is better, scalable, systemized, instantly customizable for anything you need. And this is why we use components, reusable components. Why attend? Great. Boom, delete that. So I've added the styles all from the actual style guide within Figma itself to these text layers, these border colors and everything else. So now I can work on the layout. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so first things first, what I want to do is make sure that these have the right rules. Starting with this. So this will be fixed because I want this text stack to be like this, but I'm actually thinking, what if we just move it a bit more and did it like that? Because that looks a bit more all about, and then made this fully white. Could actually look a bit better. Yeah, do like that kind of stack in the title much better. So I'll keep it like that, and this will be a fixed width. It doesn't change no matter what screen. Let's go check it out on the iPad. Okay, so for some reason it has not reflected over here, which is interesting. Let's see the different size, 48 for, it's because I think it's switching size based on the breakpoint, because when we set the styles, the text styles, each breakpoint also offers a different, it automatically switches size, right? So if I really wanted to change this, I'd have to go here and make this large, and keep it large, or make this into 56 as well, which I guess is fine. Yeah, we can do it that way too. And let's see, make sure that this is what's happening on the large bit here. It looks like it. Great. So perfect. Okay, so that's working. Now we've got to make sure, look, all this stuff is breaking on the iPad. So if we make the layout properly here, it should work properly everywhere else. So we'll do fill first here for this entire container, which is, what's this title? But it should be called, what is the event about, right? Let's call it that. Alrighty. Okay, so diving into these layouts, let's go ahead and see what's going on here. So first things first, you can see that the layout is breaking out over here. So we got to take this entire frame, which I'm calling box, which I named box 1, box 2. This frame here needs to be set to its relative right now, which is why it's inconsistent the way it's scaling. So we got to, and also there seems to be an additional border that I don't need. Let's go and see where that's coming from. I think it's that one. Okay, that removed everything, so that doesn't look right. So I think, let's see what's going on here. It could be one of these borders over here. Let's see if that works. Right, it did work, but on Figma we have this very interesting feature which allows you to control where the line comes in. In this case, we just made it on the left, and it doesn't seem Figma has that, or I'm missing it. Let's have a look if I can control. Okay, you can control that. Great. So it would be the left 1 pixel. There you go, at dark 600. Perfect. So that works well. So you just have to map the features a bit better, or correctly, should I say. And then from here, we're going to switch this to fill instead of relative, and we'll switch this to fit content. And over here, this needs to be okay, so this is a custom width, so we'll keep it as fixed, but we can do, could we do a fit content? I don't think we should do fit content here. It should do a fill, right? Because it needs to fill into this box here, the main box, and over here too, it should fill. Because the thing is, the reason why I did this fill and fill, because these technically have should have different heights, I believe. And if I make the height fill, we got fixed, or if I make the, fill works. If I make the height fit, it will fit to the actual size of the content, meaning if I start to do this, okay, well that's fine. Actually, yeah, maybe I could do fit. Let's see. Let's see what happens when I, okay, so that doesn't keep changing. This is set to fixed. Okay, this should be fit, and this should be, what happens if this is fit and you keep typing, it breaks. There you go. So this shouldn't be, the one inside shouldn't be fit, it should be fill, and the one outside should be fit. So fill inside, fit outside, and fill here too. So that will make sure that the line in the middle doesn't break, or each column doesn't kind of unmatch itself, because we want the columns to match in the same height, if that makes sense, right? So that works. Now what happens over here if you do that? Well, this is the problem over here. We start to get this thing naturally breaking because of, as you can see, there's a slight different widths, and that could cause an issue. So you know what? I think that the widths here need to be relative, actually, and here too. The reason being is because it can't be a fill. Well, maybe this could be a fill, but the other one should be relative. Oh wait, both should be relative. No, that didn't work. So I'm trying to make sure that this, well, you know what? I think because this is so narrow, the only way to tackle this is maybe give this a custom setting, like make this fill and make the content, wait a minute, is this text actually set to fill? Oh, well, that makes sense. The text itself needs to be fill as well, so that it fills the entire width. What does that do over here? Now we're getting somewhere. This, we did say it needs to be fit content, but it broke for some reason. And this needs to be fill. And this needs to be fill. It kind of switched, I think. I'm not sure why. Or wait a minute. Maybe you can do this as... We can do this as fit. But look, as you make this fit, it just kind of goes to the natural height and it breaks that line. And that's what I don't want. However, on this side, I think... Is this becoming more accurate? I don't know. No, it doesn't seem like it. So got a little technical issue. So this is where it gets a bit tricky. You might be doing something on the desktop and it works, but it doesn't work necessarily on the iPad. And so you have to figure this out. And I don't really want to break the iPad structure here into two columns, one after the other, because the legibility and the reading experience will be, it's okay for mobile, but not for iPad. You know, you want this to be side by side, two columns, so that there's a kind of experience in terms of how they read it, how consume the content, right? So we'll try to work this out. So again, make this fit. It just broke. So it seems like any internal settings I change, whether it's to fill, to fit, and it automatically changes the one outside sometimes, depending, because I think you can't keep something in the inside as fit and where two things is fit or one thing is fill while the other thing is fit. I can't remember exactly what the rule is, but you can see something is clearly not right here. Even here, if I make this fit, maybe that's what's breaking this. No, it doesn't seem to. So I don't know what keeps breaking it. So let's try to figure this out. Okay, so we'll make this fill, and then let's try to make this custom. Okay, so make that fit content, and that's fit too, and this could be fit too, and this was meant to be fit as well, but it's not fit over here for some reason. So that probably solved most of it. I think this should be fill, and this can be fill too. So I'm trying to map it exactly how I did on the first one. I don't know. I think because I customized this one before, the properties got unanchored from the main one. So now I think you can reset. There you go. You can actually detach from primary, or you can actually reset overrides as well. You know, so if you want to do that, you can reset overrides, as you can see here. But I want these to be fill anyway. So, okay, great. So this is looking good. All right. So I've used the rules, the fill fit rules to work. On the desktop version, this one is a bit longer in terms of width, but on the iPad it's slightly in the iPad it's actually equal columns. Let's see if we can customize a little bit this. So instead of making it fill, I make this one a fixed, and we'll try to even this out so that the text kind of fills in better. This should go back to fit, and so should this go to, wait a minute, that shouldn't be fit, my bad. This should be fit, and this should be fill, and this should be fill too. Okay, so that's, why is this going back to fit? Okay, fixed. Okay, it keeps changing. So this is fill, and that's fill. Why can't I make those two fill? I swear that's what I did here. Fill, and fixed. Right. Oh no, fit. Okay, so it doesn't seem like I can make the subcomponents fill in height and the main frame fit at the same time. I guess the logic is right, because you can't technically fit something that's trying to fill itself, right? Because where does the final height end, right? So that's interesting. Let's see if I can find a way around this. So I'm going to keep this as fit, and we'll make the shorter one fill, like this one, and then we'll make this one into a fit content. There we go. At least that now pushed everything up. There we go. So this is fit. This is fit. This column here is fill. So it's just trying to spread itself inside that container. And this one is fit. So telling the one outside that, you know, you can close off as much space as it needs, right? Now, what has that done over here? I don't notice anything different, but let's go and make this fill like we did before, and we'll make this fit, and we'll make that fit too. There we go. So that worked. That was pretty good. In terms of the width, we're making it relative, and this one seems to be fixed. If I make it relative, I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, nothing changed, looks like, so that looks okay. So that could be a safer approach, so that relative simply means, like I said before, if it takes the value and kind of auto calculates it as you squeeze the window size based on, you know, what sort of screen sizes are in the breakpoints. It kind of calculates everything in between using relativity, right? So, and kind of estimation, let's say. So from here, let's go and see what this looks like in our live preview. Always important to keep previewing your website as you go along. So this is the breaking point, and right here it starts to break into this section here. I'm not happy how this section here looks like it kind of it's not really aligned, so we'll have to fix that. This stuff looks good. Let's see, this is the part I was worried about, so let's see how this interacts. So it looks good all the way from here. I don't like this corner over here. We got to fix that. And boom, breaks in, but the columns look great. And it looks good all the way through, actually. It doesn't break at any point. This is awesome. There's no kind of breaking of the line. Just this grid on the right side needs to be tweaked. Other than that, we got it working. We got it working. So let's go back to this and see if we can fix this even more. Doesn't seem like I can see that extra line on here, which is really strange. Why am I, if I remove that? Okay, well, I've removed something. Let's try to publish it and see it on the actual domain. So here's the actual browser version. Okay, still getting those corners there. That is weird. Only thing I can think of to fix that is giving the same radius to anything with a border, basically. So I could try and do that. Yeah, because if I remove that, then it removes everything, which is what we don't want. This doesn't have a border, and then the next border is this one. So let's see what we got in terms of radius. Nothing. So if I simply take the radius from here, it should kind of, I'm trying to maybe it's a bug. I have to tell the Figma team about this, but I can hack it by copying the radius from the outside one and pasting it in here. There we go. So now let's see what that looks like. It should be fixed. There you go. So now that's kind of, ooh, but then we got this problem here, right? Okay, so that we need to fix now. So let's see if we can tweak the radius. Oh, there we go. So top left 0 and top bottom left as well 0, right? So 0. Now that, okay, that should work. Let's see if this has worked. There we go. So that looks fine to me. This line seems thinner than the rest. You know, maybe it's my eyes, but look, I don't want to nail all the details right now. I'll come back to that perhaps later. Using the correct color, pixel size seems fine. Okay, let's make sure that we get the right pixel size. So 1 point there. Okay, now it looks pretty accurate. Cool. All right, so let's do one more check of this section here and let's hope it works. So publishing, going to the domain. Boom, let's pull this browser so you guys get a preview of what it looks like. Brilliant. So few alignment issues, but this graph part looks great. Okay, so let me try and fix this issue at the top before we move further. Okay, so what is going on here? The alignment seems fine here, but at some point looks like as you expand the size, it's aligned in the wrong way. So it's because of the alignment on these these frames. So I'm going to go to the main speaker frame. I'm going to see what's going on here in terms of layout and position, sticky. I think we got to take all these stuff in the middle and put it right in the center by clicking the position anchor over here, right? Because it's not in an auto layout, you have to actually choose anchor to left, right, top, middle rules. So I'm selecting everything in the middle and making it anchor to the middle. As for the rest of this stuff, let's see what else is being anchored in a strange way. Okay, this is all centered now. That's great. But I did see, yeah, this text layer is moving to the left. That's strange. So this needs to be centered, but it also has to be as a fill rule, right? And this too needs to be fill. Now that could basically solve it. I don't need this layer. Yeah, so great. Now let's go ahead and see what happens. Voila. So everything's centered. Beautiful. Let's go down here. Beautiful. All right, so let's go down to this section. I've got to do the same thing that I did for the previous grid on the next section. Let's give that a go. Let's do the rules now. So this should be a fit content. Makes sense for me. This could be a fill. And this could be a fill too. This can be fit. That's great. The vertical can be fit. So we squeeze the text size, height. This could be fit, I guess. And this could also be fit. And then this one is where it gets interesting. We got to make it, well, let's look at what's happening on the iPad or the tablet version as we do this. So, okay, something's wrong here, clearly. This needs to be fill, and it's not. There we go. That centered that up. So before it was fixed and it was just expanding, it was being a fixed height, as you see here, and expanding beyond that. But once I turned it to fill, it just aligned itself. Right, so this has that kind of edge issue control thing going on. So I'm going to switch this to a single border and make it only on 1 pixel on the right. So that's perfect. And then the actual frame, which is this one, I think, or this one has the border, and we should give it a 1 pixel to make it consistent. Great. See what's going on over here. Looks like it's working. I think it already has worked, in fact. That's awesome. Okay, I'm happy with that. Anything strange? Well, this is an unnecessary gap there, and I don't think we need that. They put a right gap of 38. Let's see what it looks like with 0. Is that gap really necessary is my question. Doesn't seem to have a gap on here, but oh yeah, it's on this side, isn't it? So okay, let's see what happens. Okay, we got this problem here now, which I think we got to go with a fit content rule and fill here. Make this actually, sorry, this needs to be a fit, and this needs to be a fill, but this one should be a fill. Actually, this needs to be fill, and this needs to be fit, right? And what do we have here? Okay, so something's clearly wrong here. Look at what's happening. I think we can fix this by making the core stack over here, which is this one. We got the rows, 1, 2, and then what's this one? This is the whole thing. Do we really need this one? I wonder. Let me just remove this stack and see what happens. Yeah, I don't think we needed that. So I removed one stack and it seemed like it's fine. Things are still kept together. Speaker stack. Let's call it boxes, right? And then we have box 1, box 2, just be more clearer. All right, so let's be more speaker boxes, right? Okay, so this needs to be fill, right? And we should do a fit content here. Right, now this is breaking. That's not good. So we need this, technically has to be a fill state, which the height has become fixed. So let's go make it a fill. Great, okay, that worked. So that's exactly what I was hoping for. Curious to wonder if we need to actually break this into a second line. Maybe not, I think it's probably fine the way it is. I mean, I think our design team had an extra space on the right. I'll clarify for them later if they really need that. We could always add that back. I guess maybe the text is a bit tight on the right side, so you know what? I think I agree why they actually had that side gap. Like I think it was 36 on the right. It does make sense now that I think about it. So I'm going to go back to that as well. Simply taking the text container and adding a 36 on there would be fine, and then that looks quite nice and spacious inside. It's got lots of breathing space, otherwise it just feels all tight up. And I feel like this space is a bit tighter than this. Like the vertical space on here has got top right and bottom right. Okay, wait, that's the corner radius. Padding is 40 all around, right? So that's a lot of space. So why don't we, padding all around is 40. So I think this deserves more padding. I think in fact we should match it with the top, why not? So let's try 40. How does that look? Is that too spacious? Okay, so there's a reason why they didn't make it 40 like this. Maybe the size of the content, but perhaps if we reduce this space now, it might be okay. So let's reduce that and reduce that. Yeah, it's not so bad. There's more breathing space now. Feels nice and roomy when you come in here. Could it be a bit less? Maybe. So how about we try that? Let's make it, instead of 40, let's make it 36. And here, 36. Brilliant. Yep, I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and do a click play. Come to the bottom. This part working as expected, beautifully responsive. And over here, beautifully responsive. Doesn't break except for this little corner. That corner culprit. That is definitely a bug on Framer. Let's go and fix that. So we'll go to this one. We'll go into I think the radius control, which is here. And we're going to add, I think the radius was, what was it? Why am I not getting radius? Oh, it's on here, the speaker boxes. The main component shell is, don't see the radius here either. Oh, is it there? What's this one then? Speaker stack. Okay, so this one has its own thing. Do we need this even? Let me just remove the stack for a moment. What happens when you remove that? Okay, so that, I think I just overkilled the amount of, like this one's really simple. This version is just one frame and then 2 frames inside. I think we had unnecessarily amount of frames inside. So what we could do is fix that by removing this stack here. Yeah, and then from here we add the border right on here, which is 600 and a corner radius of, what was it? Corner radius of why is there a corner radius on these things? Oh, here. 24 radius. Great. Okay, finally found that. Okay, so here we go and add a 24 radius. There we go. So that should work. Let's go and do a publish. Hopefully that works. So that bug maybe persists. Yeah, that bug does persist. Go back. Let's basically force this one to have a corner radius of 24.2. Now it'll affect the actual line that the dividing line that we're using. So we'll hack it by removing the top right and the bottom right. And just making sure, we have 0 here. Yeah, all of these have 0. Unless we have to actually give it a value. Maybe that was the issue. So let me just remove this for a second and see if this works, because there's no 0 value, perhaps that's the reason that's causing the bug. Yeah, I found the source of the bug. I'll tell you, Framer team, you're in for a nice little report from me. So Turns out if you go to border and you don't add actual zeros, then they actually auto default 1 pixel, it seems, because you got one border, even if you're using the custom border size control, right? So, okay, well, now that works. Let's go ahead and see the responsiveness. Beautifully responsive, right? Brilliant. I'm really happy with that. I think one thing that I haven't done yet is the width control, because right now, look at these sections. They are going as way too wide. And if you remember previously, what I did for this was I created maximum widths of 133. So we got to do this for all these main sections here. So max width fixed 1333. Same here. Max width fixed 1333. Right. Now, if I go and stretch these sections, it's not going to just stretch all the way through. It'll stop at the 133 mark. Great. Happy with that. Cool. So a few more sections left to go, guys. Let's get through it. This part over here, next section is basically what do you learn section, where we have a title, button, and some other pieces. So call this Omar working image. So there's an actual term there. Image frame. And what's this over here? This is basically the image, right, from the content. Let's give this all a proper term. So it's called schedule, which is cool, which is what I wanted, something that makes sense. And then what do we have here? So, okay, cool. So this bit here is Omar working. Inside there's a vector. I'm going to lock this vector so that it's unselectable. Okay, so this as well I'm going to lock, because I think it's just the image size inside this frame over here. Now if I select this, yeah, this is the actual. Okay, we don't need that. It seems like an empty rectangle at the end, in the inside, so I remove that. So all this stuff just got copied from from Figma. So you'll notice some layers that designers might have used that unnecessary, or they forgot to delete, and that's okay. It's part of the process of organizing. But in your web work, publishing web, you shouldn't think in terms of how your workflow is in Figma. You know, you're more unforgiving with the layers. You just add things and experiment with stuff. You want to clear all this stuff out as you're working from a Figma design. All these extra layers or these dead layers that are not being used should be deleted, and you should rename your layers appropriately, right? And this is just all part of a good optimized website. Okay, so where am I here? So this is delight your users. Let's call this content, or title. Let's call it title. There's a group over here as well. Do we need this group? I don't think so. I'm gonna remove the stack. Didn't change anything, right? It didn't have an auto layout. It was just grouping this for some reason. And then here's the image over here. Okay, so I think I've cleaned up my layers in the way I want. This looks cleaned up. There's an extra frame here. I don't know what that is. Seems to be dead, invisible. Let's make it visible, just to see what it is, just in case. Okay, so this is from a previous project. I'm going to delete that. We don't need that. So nice and trimmed this whole thing is, and let's call this a stack. This is basically the frame, the main frame, and then the stack inside here, or top fold. Let's call it, because it's a top fold within the section, for example. And then we have this other kind of similar kind of table form grid, just like we have up here. So we can systemize this as well. So next, okay, so let's give it a text style paragraph, I believe it is, and we're going to give it a color. Light, extra space has been added for no reason, and I think we need to number this. Good thing about this section, unlike these sections above, we don't have the central line, so there's less thinking process required here. Let's just look at the frame, name them appropriately. So let's call this info table, for example. We'll call this top box 1, column 1, and column 2 perhaps. All right, and now here we'll do a fill rule. Here we do a fill rule 2. I don't know why things got disappeared. I think it's to do with relativity. So let's make this a fit content, and this a fit content 2. And my columns have gone ballistic. This is fit. This needs to be fit as well. Oh, okay. So wait a minute. This needs to be fit. This needs to be fill, my bad. And this needs to be fill too. And then these need to be fit, actually. And this needs to be fit too. Really strange how this thing kind of broke in terms of the height. Can't fully understand why. Let me do a fit content. Okay, that works. And let's do a fit content here. So I guess everything needs to be fit. Looks like that was my mistake. Okay, yeah. So everything fit. Yeah. So everything fit, and this width will be fill. So fill the width, and yeah, this is filled already, and this is filled already. So great. Yeah, and then this one, yeah, this is the container, and this should be filled too. Cool. Okay, so that works. We got our info table ready. Let's see how it led over here. Okay, there's some issues going over here. We can fix that in a moment. First things first, I want to make sure this table is working. I'll come to this in a moment. I'm working a bit backwards, but I want to make sure that we fix this properly, because make sure that it's working alongside the same kind of logic as the other thing that we created. So this needs to be, the text hasn't been set to fill. This text has. Okay, and this one is set to fill. This is set to fill. This is set to fill. Let's move my head. And this is set to fit, fill. Why is this not filling over here? That's really strange, isn't it? Okay, wait a minute. Maybe it's this thing here. Yeah, this needs to be set to fill. The entire container wasn't set to fill, and that's why it was breaking. So now, beautiful table over here, right? Let's just be conscious about the gap here, because I feel like this gap doesn't look consistent with this stuff here. We don't have any padding here. The padding is native on the website, or we're actually using the kind of max rule, isn't it? So with that said, all we got to do then in that case is take these sections and remove any sort of padding altogether. Remove the padding altogether. I don't think we need it. And yeah, I think that looks fine. The vector, I feel we can move lower a bit, center that up, and then we'll lock these two bad boys so that no one messes with them. And then it's just this frame that we have to interact with. So these images are overflowing this frame essentially. So just so you keep in mind, that's how the logic works. This is looking really lovely already. Just this bit here, we've got to stack it. There's no other way. So we'll have to stack it top down, just a bit similar to this section over here, since it's kind of that header section. And just like we did in the last one, we'll set this. Is this not set to fill? It was set to fix over here. Okay, so this should be fill, and this should be fixed. Yeah, so that's fine. And this should be fill too, ideally. And yeah, so all that is fine. So that looks good. Over here, what we could do is center this up and go with a different approach like we did on the top part, and make sure this stuff goes in the Z index, or the top part at least will be consistent. What we did previously is made a Z index value from styles, add that, and we'll go one pixel up, so that it goes on top of those kind of design little elements like this squiggle and stuff. Cool. All right, almost there. Okay, so that section's complete. Now we're on to the last 1, 2, 3 final sections. Now this section's an interesting section, but you know what, I'm going to cheat here just in the interest of time. It's been a long video already. I want to cheat because I actually had designed this already, exactly this, in a previous page, and so I'm just going to copy it directly from there. I think it's a component. I can't remember if it is or not, but let me go ahead and copy it. Home page. Where are we? There we are. So this bit here. Lovely. What's the layers? Testimonials. Great. Copy that. Go to pages. Led by UX. And be really cheeky. Paste. Where did that layer go? I think it went to the bottom. Use arrow keys to position it. I think there's a slight text change that needs to happen, which is this over here. So I'll take that. I can't see the text actually. Text layers, styles all done. Just need to choose the right color. And also replace the text with what's relevant. And that's it. I think these bits here, these, I think the color was meant to be different on this one. So let me double click that. And you know what? I'll just keep it as it is for now. This needs to be a different color because we can't see it. The actual person's name. It's a, of course, a testimonial. So I think it's dark 600 again here, or a bit lighter 500. Yeah, that seems to be correct. Okay, cool. Delete that, and we've done that section. That certainly saved us a bit of hassle, and look how beautifully done it is in the actual iPad version. I think, in fact, there's an iPad version of this. No, it doesn't seem to be. I think this is just purely done through the responsiveness. I think we're using, if I remember correctly, in the actual layers panel, we used, how do we do this? Yeah, so in the container of these SVGs, we anchored them to the top right and this one to the bottom left. And that kind of creates this unique auto responsiveness by just simply using these anchors in organic positions. And I think that the positioning is absolute. So we're not using auto stacking or anything. It's absolute positioning, which means you can drag this wherever you like in the frame and it'll still be in the frame. And using the anchor rules is really useful to kind of create these kind of effects and make it still fully responsive, which is, I love, you know, like look at this, how it scales. It's beautiful. Now we have to do the limits again. So again, max width, fix. I forgot to do it for our previous section, 133, and over here too. Max width. Oh, min width, no. Remove. Max width, fixed, 13333. Great. All right, so we're coming down to the last bits. This needs the actual video, which I can copy from my old page. Let me go and copy that video. This is beautiful animation right here. Copy. Led by UX, and we'll paste that right here. I think we got to do a look at the layers issue here. What's this? This is the rectangle with the design in there. So that's the whole frame. That's the video. That's the screen. That's the rectangle. We don't need that. And this needs to be centered in the frame. It's a bit too big. So can we make it? Okay, so we can go to this frame and call it video and do an auto layout stack, center it up, and now we can select the video and go to the width and do a fill rule, lock the sizes so nothing, so the height will be dynamic. Okay, I'll have to re-export this video because ideally I want this white to not be there and just be same color as the background. So that's a different issue. So we'll come back to that later. Okay, so now responsiveness work. Let's do that really quickly. We're almost at the end of this. Width, fill, height, fit. Let's go into this one. Width, fill, the actual main component. Let's call it title. Case study card, or let's call it pain of poor UX. Let's call it. There's an about section here. Do we need that? I don't think so. Let's remove this frame. I don't think we need it. So it looks like it just expanded a little bit, and that's fine. That's okay. It just actually expanded to the right size, to be honest. Fill, height, fit, great. Happy with that. This one, text layers, fit, fill on this side, and fill on this side too. Fit is fine here, and finally here, fill, fit works there, and finally here, fill, fit. Great. Okay. And this one is fixed. Do you want to do a fill? I'm not sure. How does that look if I do a fill situation there? I think we don't need the gap, so let's reduce the gap completely. Let's take this, make this fill, and this one. Why is this not fit content? Fill. and this one needs to be fit, and this one needs to be fit too. I think we need to remove this layer from the stack. Let's remove the stack. I don't think we need a frame inside it. And the video over here, why is it overflowing? Fill fixed fit. There we go. So that worked. Fill. So this needs to be fixed based on the fill of the width because it's a locked proportionally. I think we need a bit of gap in case the video comes too close to the text, so we'll do a 20 pixel gap. And there we go. I think that should do the trick. Oops, I broke it. Great. Okay, so that works. And the background color has to be systemized too. Forgot that. Success 300. Great. Now I feel like this image is maybe too big in comparison to the text. I mean, it's hard to say. I think we do need to remove this white bit and change the color of this avatar perhaps, but you know, we're not ready to do that just yet. So what I'll do is manually try to do a fixed width on the video and scale it down to match the text size. So let's see if that works well. Yeah, that looks already a lot better. I feel like, you know, it kind of has a better ratio to the video size. The text has a good ratio now, and we can add a bit more gap, like maybe 36 gap. 20 is not enough, I don't think. There we go. So that looks a bit better. Yeah, and once we tweak this video setting, it'll be better altogether. Let me just make it maybe a tad bit bigger. Yeah, that's good. Cool. All right, so I'm happy with that. Now let's go and discover what's going on in iPad. Well, you can see this part is broken. It's because of the direction of the stack. Can't go horizontal in this case. It would be much more ideal in this way, vertical. We'll keep this as is. We'll center up the button. Is this fill? This should be fill. Well, I hope it's filled here as well. No, it's not. It needs to be fill. And I hope this is fill. Yeah, it is. Good. Okay, so this is centered. This could be centered too because we're on the iPad now. And then, yeah, you come to this section over here. In fact, you know what? Let's keep this left aligned because it's in a container. It kind of has a slightly different experience. And last but not least, the need help section. Let's work on it. So systemization. We'll do the footer and everything together in one go. I'm going to cheat with the footer. In fact, I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete this because I do have a pre-made footer over here. It is a component, so I'll have to detach it. So let's see how that goes. But it should be simple. So I'm going to copy it from here. Go to led by UX, and I think I might want this Discord channel too. It might be worth having. So the logo is different. So yeah, I'll have to detach this, delete the logo, change the text to white. I think we have a different title. Go to Figma and pull it up. So something like educating startups on building. Yeah, there we go. That's the title I want. And what's the rest of this saying here, down here? Okay, so there's that whole thing there. I think I'll find the text layer somewhere here. Left icon. What do we have on Figma exactly? Oh, book your seat and all that stuff, right? Okay, so that comes from the top part here. Yeah, there we go. That skipped a lot of work. Delete that. Maybe we could keep the Discord channel, but I have to ask the team if they really want that or not. And then I'll come back and decide that later. Keep that for the time being. What do we have here? So here's the bottom part. Yeah, so there's the kind of terms of service and all that good stuff. So let's pull it from here, and the legals, links, privacy policy, etc. Color white. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, because I think it's linked, the link design is set as black, so I have to choose a different color for this page. So I'm going to make it white. There we go. Cool. So that does work, I think. Fit here, fit. This needs to be fit as well, and this needs to be a fit fill, and this could be fit too as well. There we go. So that's all working in our favor. We'll come back to this, and maybe they might want that deleted, and that's okay. We'll return to that if necessary. Over here, we do have a different version of the footer, which is in the component, but I have to recreate it here. So we usually do it stacked, and then we center everything up, like the text and everything can be centered up. So boom, center that, center that. This we go to a fill rule, and we make sure it's all distributed at the center, and that's it. Like that, I mean, we're almost done here, right? This is insane. Like this is probably the fastest I've ever designed a website from Figma to a live website, honestly. I'm going to move this a bit higher so I can actually see what's happening as I change it. So first things first, this needs to be a fill. Shouldn't extend beyond the container. Let's go into the container. So it says title here. I'm okay with that. Does this need a frame? I don't think so. It seems unnecessary. Remove the frame stack here. And also, what just happened there? And this doesn't need a frame stack either. It doesn't seem like it. So remove that too. Okay, so now things have kind of stacked into two different columns, and that's okay. I think it's because what should really be happening is we add a frame all inside here, call this text, and then switch the layout, add a layout and switch it to vertical. And from here, we take the individual layers, make it fill, make it fit, make it fill on the width, make it fit on the height, make the actual container fit on the height, and make it fill in the width. And this thing can also fill the actual entire section container can fill. And then the speaker section can also fill, and height can fit. There we go. So almost there. And then we have these little icon sections. So here's, let's call it helper 1, helper 2. I mean, I could have called it support, but that's okay. So fit, looks like for these guys, fit, and fit. That's fine. So this is using those fit rules. I can't see the email text properly. I'm going to change the color to a bit of a lighter version like this. Otherwise it just, I don't know if you can see it. Oh, we can go back and make it a bit, one of those kind of bolder sizes. So let's go inside here and choose maybe 16, I would say would make more sense. I mean, is this, yeah, I think we should just make all this 16. It's just way too small otherwise. Struggling to read it. So medium, and this one too, make it medium. In an ideal sense, like if if this was to be done a bit better, we would have made these things components and switched them on the component level, and then that would change all of them at once. But that's okay. We're hacking through this site in this case. Fit content for this entire section here. Fit content, fit. What's the gap size? 40 gap. I guess that's fine. No padding, fine. Is there padding here? Looks like there is. Do we need it? I don't think so. Not sure why there's that extra space here. I think it's distribute to the center. And then we have a row. I don't think we need this thing here. Let's remove the stack. There we go. So that squeezed it a bit more and optimized a bit of the space. Do we need the left and right sides? I guess if you want a bit of padding on both left, 42 pixels, that's been added. I guess that's a strategic direction from our creative director there. So we'll keep it as. I think this could be fit content, and we could push this to the start distribution layout, to the start. Why is this not moving to the start though? Oh, align left. There you go. So that's why sometimes you notice, I told you, when it comes to alignment, you got to try the distribute. Sometimes intuitively, you know actually what distribute means versus the align tool. They do have specific rules and reasons why they're there. But you might forget, what actually aligns everything inside a container with a layout, a stack layout added or auto layout added. You might forget whether you need to use distribute or you might need to use align. So, okay, just make sure you're aware of where you can select the alignments and try them both. If one of them doesn't work, then you'll get over the confusion. And eventually one of us will truly know how they work and why distribute will work in some alignments and why the align tool will work. All right, moving on. So this is looking good. I think we can fit the width on this. I don't know if it's necessary to have so much fill on here. We'll fit it up to there. Yeah, now that's nicely centered. And over here, we'll do a center stage. So we move this all to the middle. Great. I don't think we need this padding anymore. We'll just make 0 padding and it'll just naturally, kind of contain itself. And on the iPad, I think we have to go with a vertical stack. And this thing needs to rotate. This definitely needs to rotate. And so to rotate that, I don't know if we got I don't think we have actual controls for rotation, which is interesting. I've never seen it personally in here. But that's okay. I think we could, I would perhaps delete it or hide it in this scenario, right? So what I'll do is take this, duplicate it on Figma, rotate it, and use our good friendly plugin over here, run it, copy that one layer and bring it into Framer. I think is the best way to handle the situation, and paste it right here and do a fill. And fill on the width, and height is fixed. I think we should make a 1 pixel height. Okay, so that line has been added. I'm looking at this line and wondering if it's actually any use, and I don't think it's so useful in the support in the iPad size, unless we squeeze the size in to around 24. And now that doesn't look that great, so let's try to squeeze it out a bit more. Fill that. Yeah, I think that's okay now. I wouldn't do anything more than that. Can't seem to find the color for this thing, and I can't seem to edit the color. I'll think of figuring that out another time, but it does work, which is cool. And over here it doesn't appear, which is important. So that's critical. And with that done out of the way, we got our whole sections done. So beautiful, look at this. We managed to get the whole Figma site live into Framer. And let's see how this looks on the publishing side. So publish it and look at the responsiveness. Amazing. You can go wide as you like. Everything functions. Just have to do the max width on here. I forgot to do that. But other than that, everything's responsive, and we can go all the way to mobile, but there needs to be some tweaks on mobile, it seems. And also there's some things breaking over here, it looks like, because of the size of the text around here. So that's okay. Since we've done the desktop, we've done the tablet, the mobile is going to be really, really easy because everything's systemized, all the layouts have been done, everything's fully responsive up to the tablet size. So the mobile size is going to be a piece of cake. Let's go ahead and do this. So we'll go click add on the tablet, the plus side, and we'll choose phone, which is 390, and there creates the automated breakpoint. Everything looks kind of broken, as you can see at this stage. We do need a secondary menu for this. Like, I think this menu is no longer functional. In fact, what we'll do is we'll hide, I don't think, because this is an events page, we don't need all of the call to actions. We just need this, and we're ready to go, so that is pretty much it there. And here, what do we have here? We got gap is 96. Is this set to fill? Why can't I set this to fill? Oh yeah, because I'm not selecting the main layer. There we go. So this is set to fill, and this whole section here is set to 32. I want it to be 20 in the mobile. The padding on mobile doesn't have to be as aggressive. So we can, I think 10 pixels might be too tight, but 20 should be plenty on all of these sections here. Set this to fill. Set these, okay, these buttons need to probably stack because they're not going to fit side by side. So we'll do a vertical stack, and then what we could do, or wait a minute, can we keep it on the same stack and simply set this to fill and set, well, that's the problem. It doesn't look that great. Like the icons start to really crowd inside, or just put teaser instead. And we'll do a fit content on the width, so then there's more space for the book seat. There you go. So that works better. Nice to keep that whole section together. I'm okay with this overflowing. It looks good, actually. It looks interesting. So I'm okay with that. My only question is just this section here. Maybe it could be moved a little bit lower. And let's just see how this is being anchored on the thing. It's centered, so we'll move it to the left side, and we'll move this to the right side. Okay, so we'll come back to that later. Here, partners need to be stacked vertically. So let's go ahead and find this container over here and go vertical. Add more space between them. I would say do a fill. It's a fit height. Okay, so why is this not working? Why can't I do a fill? It's auto. Space between start. Oh, there we go. So that works better. Webinar partners. Great. And then we'll do a fit. That's done already. Here we can make this into a fill section. And let's open up and let's see if we can, well, we can't add a smaller size here. So we'll have to kind of make do with that. Here, it's always a bit of sacrifice on mobile for some, which is what we have to deal with. And then finally, the direction on this table, we can stack it, I think, safely, because it's just not going to work otherwise. And then this bit here, box number 1 needs to fill now and fit on the vertical, as is the inside bit. The text on the inside needs to be set to fit. That pulls everything up. And this bit over here can be set to fit. Yeah, so everything's done. We just need a divider line. In fact, we don't need a divider line because this kind of splits quite well without even having a divider line. But we have to remove this divider line, as you can see over here. So we'll go there and remove it from the solid bar over here. 0 right there, and 0. In fact, what we need to do is just simply go and remove the entire thing. Yeah, and that works. Perfect. So that's customized. Same thing for here. Switch it from a horizontal stack to a vertical stack. Make everything a fit rule on the inside. Fit content. This is already set to fit, looks like. Yep. And we could probably have a divider line problem here, right? You can see right there. Take that and just remove the border, and that works. And you can see as you're tweaking these things, it doesn't affect the previous sizes because those previous sizes are set in stone and has its own unique properties and doesn't affect any of the previous primary sizes. Okay, so this needs a bit of work. I'll come back to that later. This we can quickly fix. Again, taking the stack and making it vertical again, right here. That worked perfect. This is fine. This just needs 20 pixel gap, 20 pixel padding, sorry. And we'll again stack this one off the other. Boom, that works well. This thing again, fill, 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 this is already set to fill. This we can stack and also fill. And fill these bits here. And I think we could also center it on the align section. Center this one and the line. Oh, if I do maybe a fit on here and then do a line there. There we go. So that's nice and centered up. Actually, what we could do is center all of this. Fill and center the alignment. Center. That's really strange why that's working in that way. Fit content. Oh, right. Okay, because there's a 38 right side gap there. Fill it. Fill that. There we go. So that worked. Fill. 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 Fill and center. There we go. So that worked. And this is already done. What we just need to do is stack this perhaps, and that will make it better. And we could also stack this last piece over here, the bottom bit, the terms of service, and center up this text as well. Great. So there's a few things I should do, which I'll come back and do, but you can see overall the responsiveness has been done. Let's go and see what this looks like on the live side. You can see it all breaks up accordingly. We just have to work on some of these lines, but the responsiveness is pretty much there, right? Just a few more tweaks and we'll be pretty much good to go. First things first, you can see that I've tweaked the nav bar here, but for some reason I noticed as I squeeze this, it does not really switch, well, it doesn't scale accordingly, and I think that's because this is a fixed width and it should be fill, and this is a fill, which is fine. There's a max width here, which is fine, and this technically should be a fit content. Everything seems to have disappeared, and this should be a fill, and this bit here, and then we got the kind of logo, and then this bit over here needs to be a fit. There we go. So let's see if that works. So it's just really always playing around with these fit rules to get exactly what you need. There we go. So this happened to work, but I mean, as you get to, I don't know how often would this website become this tight in terms of size. My guess is that it won't, but I don't want to be too sure. So the book seat button looks interesting. Like, it scales accordingly, as you can see here, keeping the teaser button a bit smaller than the rest. And that works because we want more action on here versus the play button for the teaser. And then, okay, here there's an issue definitely. So I wonder how small do mobile screens get. I don't think it gets beyond this size over here. So it might be okay that the site slightly breaks beyond that. You can see the width is 4.7. I mean, isn't it 390 that a typical mobile phone would be around 3. Let's even see 340. What do we get over here? Yeah, still could be a bit better, right? So let's see what we have. See what it looks like at 390. It looks better at 390. Just below 390 just seems to collapse just a tad. Let's go into this and make sure that, okay, it's got a fill rule. Let's do a fit content, and let's force the entire container to also fit the content. And let's do this to fit content. In fact, let's do everything here to fit content. There we go. And then here we don't necessarily have any padding, 0 padding. And it's just based on a fit content rule. This is set to fill, which is fine, I think. fill here. So many layers in frames, which I don't get what happened in the design process that made it happen that way, but I guess it's okay for now. Fit, and this could be a fill now. Yeah, that looks better. Yeah, starting to look better already. Maybe let's just put, in case, you know, we don't want at some point, you know, this website to get really small and then everything, there's no padding at all. So let's keep a minimum padding of 10 pixels. And on the top here, there's this extra padding over here. I think we can reduce this to about 36 just for mobile, and the bottom padding to 36 too. So this bit looking interesting. Not entirely sure if I'm happy with the positioning of this. So just for mobile, let's see if we can move these elements around a little bit. And this is completely misaligned, as you can see. So we're going to move this right here, and we're going to move this right here, and all of these elements together will be moved. Oops. So around there looks about good. And we can put this label here, Omar, CEO of Glorify. Speaker's image, the label, and this label here. We can drop it a bit lower around here. It needs to overlay to kind of break up this this sharp line here. It's part of the design, but to kind of make it a bit feel more dynamic, you kind of, I think this overlap will make it feel like it has more depth than it does. Fill and fit. No, that would create an auto layout. We don't want that. So those are fine. Now I want to try and target the image to move it into a proper location. Let's see if I can find the image layer. It's one of these layers for sure. Oh, there we go. It's locked. I think this needs to be a bit centered. And yeah, that looks overall good. Let's see what happens in the mobile responsive. Let's go ahead. Boom. So it starts to really stack over here, and it keeps maintaining the whole width of this content over here. Gets a bit shaky at some point here, trying to force the responsiveness, I guess. I wish the large title had a smaller breakpoint. I don't know how to add another breakpoint on the type. Let's try and see if we can do that. I've personally not done that. This is a feature I'm not familiar with. We're gonna open this type and see how can I add an extra breakpoint. Like this medium has large, medium, and small. And then this one has just large and medium, which is a bit strange. Let's reduce this. I think it's just too big. It doesn't work. 40, 48, 44 maybe. It's the only way. I think we need to reduce the size of that text for sure, at least on the, so that looks better. Let's see how that looks now on mobile. Yeah, so much better, right? And look how these elements come together at some point. These graphics, they look a bit funny. They do kind of spread out at one point over here. You know what? I think we got to solve this problem. These things need to be one element together, and I think it's because it's not layered, it's not framed. Select add frame, and let's call it date, right, or something. Now it's kind of disappeared on these layers, not sure why. It's visible, opacity is 1. Why is this not visible though? Oh, this is kind of moved. completely. Okay, so let's see if we can sort this out a bit. Okay, so what I'm going to do is reset overrides, and reset overrides here, and reset overrides here, and I'm going to do the same for this one. So if you do something, if you do a mistake on the sub pages, the sub breakpoints, and you want to match the primary, which is a bit large size, then just go to your sub pages, go to the layer, and just reset overrides, and it'll try to match the settings that you have set over here with the according responsiveness. So I'm just going to reset everything, and now it's all following this piece over here. What I think this needs to do is lock on the right side, which it seems to have done well, and or you just put it on the center. There we go. So that's the best setting so far. You can see how it changed on the mobile and matched up on all the different sizes. Now the next thing is I want to group these three together so that it is more responsive on these sides and we don't have this manual responsiveness going on. So I'm going to frame them. We'll call this let's call it lines or something like that. And we're going to take these and we're going to reset overrides. So they have their own setting, so they're following what any updates we try to make on the individual breakpoints. So we have to reset overrides, match them up. This is already fine, and then we'll go to the primary, and you can see how we're selecting. One is off screen, and then here. So we'll switch to the position anchor, and it's anchored to the left, and that's why it's probably moving it off screen. So we'll see if we center it, that doesn't really work. That's good, but let's see what happens if you anchor it to the right. It's okay, but could be better. And so here I think we can do a little bit of manual tweaking just on the not the individual vectors, but I'm selecting the frame itself. That's what really important, because the frame has its own properties and the vectors has its own properties. So if you change them on each part, then you're gonna see those changes happen to all of it. And the same for this. I think the date here could be lifted a bit and put around here. Just make it a bit dynamic. There we go. So something like that could be cool. All right, now let's see what this looks like. Boom. Responsiveness. Okay, still not totally happy with the iPad size. Let's try and do something here. I think for the iPad, let's see if we can center this frame, the date frame, holding it. Okay, it is centered. Okay, it's because it's on a fill. I think we need to make this fixed. And then let's see what this does. So, okay, this might fix it. There we go. So look at that. So just making it fixed with has solved this actually. So look, because what I was trying to do is fill, and hence all the content pieces or the elements were spreading. But the moment I made it to fixed with, it's just kind of staying put, those elements, right? And that's good. That's exactly how I wanted it. Okay, there's this background color here if you go beyond the size, and I think we can tweak that. I think it's coming from here. There's a fill in these images. So I'll go to the primary one and remove that fill. We don't need it. And if I go here now, it's going to be transparent. So if I go here, squeeze it, look, it just is transparent on the sides. Great. So that's done. Detailed responsiveness. So this is really interesting because we did the desktop and the iPad, we're happy with it, and then we started to do the mobile, and you start to notice that we need to update things on the other sides as well. And this is part of the process. So, okay, from here, what I'm going to do is look at what's happening in these layers. It's 96. We'll reduce it to 36. On mobile, it's just better to have less padding. Same for over here. Let's make this 36 and pull these. And I feel like there's some layers here that are just way too 36 and fit. Make this a bit less, 0, 0. So it's removing as much padding as I can. maybe we can add a bit more padding on the top here, like 36. So just custom padding on the mobile, or 90, was it 96? There we go. So a bit more spread out there. And I'm wondering if this text is like, you know, a bit too distracting. So I'm going to make it a bit darker. So it's just kind of like a very basic subheading form of titling. So now that gives more contrast to these logos, especially on the mobile friendly. And here, I think definitely we want to remove the padding over here, 0 padding. And let's see how I can get this to be the right stack. So this one looks good. And this one is relative. So let me go to fit. There we go. So that looks better. Okay, so there could be better spacing on here. I think we could still have some padding on the top. Okay, you know what? That padding is good because it kind of separates this section from the other. Next, this is looking good. Could we reduce the padding on these boxes? Perhaps. No padding on here, but each box has about 40 pixel padding. Let's try to make it 20 and see what that looks like. That's not too bad. For mobile, it doesn't feel overkill. So let's try to do 20 on that. So just really reducing all of these, the spacings and paddings on mobile. It just makes the design a bit better. So 20 here too, and 20 here too. Great, and that gives more breathing, more kind of a better stack for the text, the final text layers. So this is cool. Extra small. Why is it going to extra small? What's extra small? This is title. Oh, it's just the title size, right? So that's fine. And this thing is broken for sure. We need to fix this. So let's go and see what's going on in the layers here. I kind of rushed through this earlier. There's some big overlapping happening. Where's the main frame is what I want to find. So this is the title, and this is the stack. The main stack is here. Top fold stack includes this image, which is overflowing right now. So if I go here and remove the overflow, this is what will happen. It's just, this is the actual image frame. But because all this overflow stuff that's happening, it's flowing and it just overlaps the image, doesn't look that great. So we gotta tweak this. First thing is the size. I think if we tweak the size, it should be good. But I do worry about okay, so this see if I add a layout to this, or do an auto layout, and then do a so this bit over here, I can't do an auto layout here because then it'll break the structure of the image. But we could make this fill, and we could, wait a minute, let's lock the ratio first because it started stretching. Ooh, let's go back to when it wasn't stretched. Lock it, fill it, there we go. And do an absolute position, and move it to the top. Can I not move it? There we go. That's better. So absolute position seemed to work. I think I've got it so far. If I can do, I can't do a fill on this. Doesn't seem. It just seems like this has to be manual, unfortunately, which is okay. It's not ideal, but if I can stretch this up to fit this thing, and then this image is inside this kind of frame section. In fact, let's just cut off and yeah, there we go. Scale it up a bit. Perfect. So that works. This decorative underneath, the vector, definitely needs to scale down. It's way too big right now. All right, so this is looking now too small, so let me scale this down a bit more. There we go. So that looks a bit more similar to what we have on the iPad. So we'll lock this and we'll lock the image. Actually, let's scale the image to fit a bit better. There we go. So that's the size we wanted. And lock the image now. And there we go. This is our image content layer. Finally, so with a bit of overflow. So if you hide the overflow, this is what it looks like. And make it visible, this is what it looks like, right? So that's our image layer. We just have to do a bit of manual adjustments to make sure we get that look and feel that we have right now. Okay, so we got this kind of learn topics agenda kind of thing. So this doesn't look good, definitely doesn't work. We could try and see if we can still keep 2 columns. I don't know if we can. Questionable, but we'll give it a go. So firstly, let's remove the padding completely and see what that does. Go to the layers and remove padding completely. Ooh. Make that 0. So a bit better, but too tight of the space, right? It's nice to imagine scrolling through mobile, you get to see all the topics in one section, but in the interest of trying to make the design better, which is obviously more important, we might have to sacrifice this, but let's see. I'm still not fully convinced if we need to do that yet. Put a 20 gap. Yeah, I don't know if this is that legible, and if it's strategic. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In these columns, it feels normal for you to read it in this kind of format, but here is questionable. I do kind of like it, but I wish maybe the font size could be different. Extra small and paragraph is around 16. Could we reduce that to 14 and then that change everything? Yes. That's the update if you do change it on extra small. Am I convinced this is functional? It doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice little agenda table. It's still functional in mobile. So let me keep that there for now. We'll get feedback from the team. Anyway, let's go move on. This quote is a bit overkill. We do have, like I said, when I added this, I actually copied it from over here. I do believe we already have the mobile responsive version of this, and this is what it looks like. So, only thing is as you can see, the settings here were slightly different. I don't know what we actually did here to make it work. We did a fill fit. So we could try this, certainly. So let's go ahead and give this a shot and make sure we get the same effect. It's not a component, so we can't copy it over, unfortunately. So we'll have to redo the actual piece. Oh, well, the text layer, the actual text is not systemized. So let's go and see what text we were using over here. It's called Testimonial. Okay, there's an exclusive style called Testimonial, I think. Let's go find it. Okay, so let's see if I can add that to this. I don't know why the style didn't get carried over, but let's see. There you go, Testimonial. And let's make the color black. Oh, sorry, white. Okay, that worked. The size is correct. Not sure about the settings now. I think we need less. If I go to the home size, what was the padding on here? I can't remember. So it's 50 padding and 20. So that's much less than what we have here. So we'll make this 50 and 20. There we go. So that is functional. That works. Beautiful. I'm really happy with that. Great. Okay, so that part is done. Responsiveness done. Let's take it to the next part, which is this bit here, using the large text, which is the medium size at the moment. Feels a bit feels a bit strong. I think we need to reduce this anyway. So let's just make this a bit better. Around 58, 56 maybe. That looks nice and tight. UX is the biggest bottleneck of overall progress design. And then this thing needs to definitely scale down. So let's go into the main frame and do a fill. There we go. So that's scaled down nicely. And then here looks fine. This looks fine. I guess this is the best you can do for the mobile responsiveness in this case. On that section, this bit's fine. Just need to center this up. So, because here it was not centered, but I think it would work if it was centered in mobile at least. There you go. So that looks much better. Some of this stuff doesn't look centered for some reason. Oh yeah, it's because there's a lack of a fill rule. Well, there is a fill, but there probably is a margin on the right side, as you see here. So I'm going to go and click 0. Now that's nice and centered. Great. So, ideally we need to make these into components, interlinked components. Perhaps we could skip it. I do have a working functional mobile version of that Discord banner over here somewhere. So let me go grab that. Oh, there we go. So that would work. Yeah, this is the banner. I think yeah, well, the thing is, if I do copy that over, it's not going to necessarily work in my case because it's not a component. So, I mean, unless it is, a component? I can't remember if you made this a component. Well, this individual piece is not a component, and that's the problem. So, I'd have to go and make this component and make these variants, and that's going to take a bit of time. I want to avoid that for now. So what they have done is, I could just take the settings and try to mimic it. So let me copy this over and mimic the settings. So, okay, let's skip the whole creation of components for now. I don't think this site needs it, to be fair. So we can just work on manually getting this right by copying the settings over. So here's my mobile responsives version. It's got a 20 and 45 padding, 20 gap and 45 padding. Same thing here. That's what's going on here. Okay, the settings seems all the same. I guess just these elements need to be moved. So let's move these elements. Okay, so that's all been done. Last but not least, we got a link. We got to create our links, right? A site is not complete with real links. Of course not. So I'm not happy with the vast gap on top of this. I'm going to reduce the top gap to 0. And that looks so much better, right? Over here, however, it doesn't look good. So this one can have a nice gap of 96 just to give this section a bit of breathing space. So now that looks better. This looks good. This section comes together well. Perhaps we could add a bottom padding. So 0 here. 0 here and 0 here, but 96 at the bottom here to give this quote a bit more margin. The same for this pane of poor UX section. We could, okay, so there's, yeah, let's give, well, if I add, I think this needs more margin on the top anyway, so let's give this like 36 on the top and 36 at the bottom. And then I don't know how to give extra padding at the bottom here. We just need to separate this section here, and I think the only way to do that is through the overall padding, which is something I didn't necessarily want to tweak because I was happy with, I mean, it's coming from this layer over here. 36. All right, let's just try 40, 44. And how does that how does that look? That's not too bad. Yeah, I'm just not happy with that space there. Let me just go and make this 0 and see how that looks now. Guess that's not too bad. It's not the worst. All right, so yeah, we'll settle there. Yeah, all these sections. Yeah, let's give this a bit more. 0 on the right, 0 on the left, but top, let's give it 96 maybe. There we go. That gives it nice breathing room. Let's just try something. If I was to make the right 50 and the left 50 on this testimonial, and then but the bottom we make it good 96 and 96 at the bottom. Now the quotation marks moves along with it, which is not what I want. But if I manually now move those, which I thought I should be able to do, I can't seem to. Oh, I can't move the actual path. I can move the quote frame itself. So yeah, that I can move. I think this is okay. Like, it's got an anchor on the left and right, and then we can manually set this to be a bit closer, and that will work. Works. Looks like it's working perfectly right now. So nice. Great. So that is better. Let's do. Okay, this is where the scary part comes. We're going to actually do a live preview in a moment. Just do one last check on the iPad size, the desktop size. Looks all great. Nice amount of, generous breathing room on the desktop size, which is good. It's important to have that. Let's go and check what this looks like. Beautiful. There's an animation there. We could go and add more animations throughout the site, which, I won't prioritize. Perhaps another video we'll do just work on just the animations alone. But the mobile responsive is pretty decent, I have to say. This is working as what I would hope it would, as I hoped it would. And then the breaking point for mobile is right here. Fantastic. This section maybe won't be too common because it's the kind of mobile responsive size. Okay, there's one problem we got to fix on the mobile, which is these fake squares that are showing up. So we got to fix that for sure. Let's go and fix that. See what is going on here exactly. I think one of these things has an unnecessary border, which I'll have to remove. So this one's got it removed. This one's got it removed. And this one has no border. So where is this border coming from? This fake border. There's no borders here. Strange, huh? And here's a border. It's one solid. Okay, let me just check this. I think this is again some kind of buggy situation in Framer. It's coming over here and it's curving this one. It's squaring that one. And this one's fine. Looks great. The rest is fine. Okay, so just those two sections we got to fix. And this is kind of overcoming a bug in Framer, I'm pretty sure. So which one was it again? This curve and the square here. Okay, so first of all, where is that border coming from? So we got the box section there. And we got the box section here. Okay, that's strange. And where is tie border then? So I think it's got to be this one because that's where it's coming from, clearly. And zero. Okay, let's give it a color, but make it zero thickness. So we're forcing it to be zero now. That should do the trick. Let's see if that fixed it. Yeah, it's removed the border now because we don't want it in the mobile section. It's not necessarily important here as well. So the top section there. Okay, so add the border. 600. And then go make it 0. Let's see if that worked. Yeah, that seemed to have worked. I'm wondering, maybe I could bring those lines in. It didn't hurt to have. It's a nice little design element, so why not? You know, so let's go back to this. Let's add 1 pixel, 0 here, but 1 pixel on the bottom. There we go. Beautiful. I think that's fine. And the same over here. So I think it was this one we were tweaking. 1 at the top, 0 on the right. And 0 on the left, and no curves either. No radiuses. Great. Now let's see what that looks like. Great. All of this looks consistent. Beautiful. Excellent. I do see a double line here, and that's bothering me. It's slightly thicker. Let's go check this out. I think this is happening on the iPad size. So let's go and investigate what the issue is. It doesn't seem to... Is it happening over here? I don't think this is thicker. I mean, let's go and do a play and go to this section here. Yeah, I think it's also happening on the desktop responsive. So let's kind of see if we can tweak that. Why is that happening? That's the question. So we have... Yeah, because of this. Remember, if something is not 0, it'll still show up as 1, it seems. That's how Framer looks like is working right now. So the box here is fine. There's no border there. And then we have the border here, which is, I think, a full border across the board. Now, let's see if that functions well. Yep, the thickness looks consistent now. See if that same issue is happening down here. Nope, this looks perfect and this looks perfect. Let's go to the next size along. iPad size. Okay. Yeah, looks consistent here too. And is mobile fine still? Yeah, looks beautiful. Nice one. All right, so we've done all of our responsive work. It's now time to get the linking done. Okay, so this I'll have to get the link from an actual team member, which will take them to a kind of booking flow. Over here we got registration open. This will link to a video which we don't have yet, so that's fine. What we do need to do is add these links over here. So about, what we could do is we click the link button on the top. We go to the, so when we want to do the links, this navbar is not a component, so we can edit it from the primary size, which is the 1440 size, and it'll auto add the links across all the different sizes. I don't think it's necessary for the mobile because these links are honestly just hotspots across the website. So I'll click on the primary size, the first link, which is about. I'll go to link on the top right, link to, click pages. Actually, I want to go to the same page that I'm on. And okay, you can't do the hotspot scroll from here. It doesn't allow you to anyway. And it just takes you to different CMS pages. Okay, that's not exactly what I'm hoping for. Let's see if I can do a scroll target. There we go. So, okay, so what I need to do is first find the scroll target and create that. So the scroll target is over here, which is about. So make this the scroll target. Click the plus on the scroll target, give it about title, and then what is this bit here? The speakers section. So actually, wait a minute, the scroll target is wrong. We want to remove this one and make the about section around here, this layer over here. So let me move me who and why kind of thing, and we'll do a scroll target there and about, and then we'll do this section. We'll make scroll target speakers, and what else is there? Schedule. All right, so schedule. Let's change that text to agenda actually, or topics. All right, so let's go add the scroll target for topics, which is this section over here. We can give it to this whole section. Go to scroll target, add, call it topics, and let's go to our menus now. Click the link. Zoom in, click the link option at the top right. We'll go to led by UX, and then there you go. Since we've added targets now, the targets are showing up, so we can go for about speakers, add the link, led by UX, speakers and finding topics, link to led by UX, target topics. Great. So that all of that stuff works. Now these seem to be links, target topic, new tab, no instant. Why does this one have an interesting settings, whereas this one doesn't? That seems to be a bug too, it looks like, which, so do that, topics. Okay, let's publish and go ahead and see what this looks like. Boom. Awesome. Okay, I think one mistake I have done is I have not set limits to the footer and width limits to the footer and this section over here, which needs to happen. So let's go and fix that. Let's go right over here to the main component or the main frame, set a max width of fixed 1333 and the same right over here, set a max width of fixed 1333, and I think this is already, well, we'll set a max width here too, max fixed 1333. Great. Now let's publish that and see what happens. Boom. Beautiful. Works perfectly. It's a gorgeous website. The links hotspot right to where I need them. So you can see about goes to about, or wait a minute, I think because the zoom is not accurate, let's go to that and try where does about go. I feel like it could go a bit higher, so I think I'll readjust that. Speakers goes there, and then topics kind of animates down there. I wish we could do that for the rest. I don't know why the other links are not giving me those settings. Something probably I have to take up with the Framer team, but it's working, which is great. These links haven't been done, but you know, the simple way to fix that is all I gotta do is really take do the same thing at the bottom here. So I was going to copy paste it, but I don't want to mess with responsiveness again, so I'll just do it like this. About thank you, led by UX, speakers, and again let's call this topics, led by UX, topics. Ooh, there we go. Cool. Alrighty, so I just want to do one thing, is take this take the actual scroll target off there, plus. Okay, so that's a bit better, but we could reduce it a bit, 500. Okay, that's better. And this one we can do the same. So speaker section, which is right here. Grab that and let's do 500. Awesome. So that's functioning, guys. The whole website's working. I'm really happy with this. It's fully responsive, as you can see. You know, maybe in a future video I can do the animations of it. I don't know if we're gonna actually launch this website with full-on web animations. I think it functions. You know, animation is not something that's a must for websites to function well. You definitely can skip that process if you don't want to, if you don't want to have that. But if you look at this website, it's fully responsive. It works on every size that we need. I think it's overall got an amazing experience, and yeah, really happy with that. It's come out really great. All right, so the only thing that I noticed is everything looks great except this last bit here. There's always little issues that we had to tweak at the end. There's a lot of space on the kind of mobile responsive one when there's you know, a slightly bigger screen, and you're getting screens of all kinds of sizes that nowadays, so I don't want to mess that up. So here, instead of fill, I'm going to keep it as a fixed height, and then I'm going to publish it. And let's see what that looks like now. Yeah, so no matter what, it still maintains that size, which is perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Now let's publish. Great, let's check this out. Yeah, functions really well, guys. You can see, you know, very well crafted website, fully responsive. All the margins are consistent and it is responsive. You'll find that on iPad and, you know, smaller window sizes, it's going to work great. I've got this plugin that I use. I've got this Chrome plugin that I use to kind of switch to different sizes to instantly see what this could look like on other screens. It's a very useful plugin. So when you're designing, it really helps. So just go through. Where's my plugin gone now? Yeah, so it's called Resize Window, I think. What is it called? Window Resizer is the plugin. And yeah, it just allows you to set presets that you can save, and also the common presets are there for your 13-inch MacBook, iPad, and the rest. So let's try the iPad size. Does the iPad size work super smoothly and as expected, fully responsive, no issues with it at all. Guys, that's how easy it is to go from a Figma design to a live website, fully responsive website using Figma. I think they're really crossing the boundaries when it comes to no-code web building. And honestly, you know, we've built up website on other platforms like Webflow. We're honestly considering moving to Figma because of the efficiency. Plus, it has inbuilt CMS. All the SEO features are there that you need, and integrations. And they keep adding more features every single week and month. So it's a win-win situation, seems to me. I've always imagined what it would be like to go directly from your design process to a responsive web. And this is the closest thing that you can get for that. And I think they've done a tremendous job in doing so. Of course, you can see from this workflow video that you can achieve almost anything. There's so much familiarity in the workflow inside of Figma to Figma, and hence why you're going to be able to kind of get through the learning curve so much faster. And they give you tons of resources to learning, including a very responsive community. So that's it for this video, guys. I'll catch up with you guys in a future video. Take care.